Hey everybody, Jennifer from Scrapping Under the Influence. I am back with my insert book for our potion box. I did fix my lid, however the E6000 is still drying so I can't lay it down to show you, but I literally had to take a knife on the bottom, not on this top section, and just slit right along here and then about halfway up the one side so I could get in there and get that off. So it's now being glued with E6000 and it's drying. And as a result, we have these nice little decorative pieces on here now, but actually worked okay. So this will fit, of course, in the bottom here. I probably could have gone a little bit chunkier as far as embellishments on the top, because you do have a little bit of space in there, but not a whole lot. So what I did, and this was definitely out of my comfort zone, I'll tell you right now. I took lightweight chipboard, I cut it and scored it and painted it. And in doing so, discovered that when you paint the lightweight chipboard, I mean, this is just plain old craft paint from Michaels, it really kind of does something to the texture of it, almost makes it kind of leather-like almost. I don't know, it was really weird. And just as I'm saying this, I had black craft text. I could have done it out of that. It would have made it a heck of a lot easier. But this is me we're talking about, so of course I'm not going to do it the easy way. Anyway, scored it, and I have distressed, and of course it doesn't show up very well on camera, but I'm telling you, I spent a ton of time distressing every one of the pattern papers in here. I'm going to kind of hold it up there. You can kind of see where I've crinkled it and inked it and gone around the edges and whatnot, and you can really tell on my little pieces here on the front. I did use, and I don't know, they might have been sold out on the website, and if they are, I'm really sorry. The Tim Holtz Halloween transparencies. I actually grabbed these in the store, and I think they were on the website, but I'm not sure if they're sold out, and I literally used the entire pack just because they're just really neat. So the bat is one of the transparencies, and so is this little guy here. And then, of course, I used the Midnight Potions paper and whatnot for this. So I did, again, something totally out of my comfort zone. I did two little signatures in here that are kind of like a junk journal style. I used a couple of those transparencies in there. I've got some tea-dyed paper in here, and I do have some colored tea-dyed, and no, I did not tea-dye it myself. I found somebody on Etsy that I could buy it from because I am terrified to try doing it myself. So here we go. I've taken a step towards this. We'll see how it goes. So I've got two 4x6 signatures in there. Of course, this one you can tell that one's, you know, fairly beat up and distressed. So they're both have a couple of those little transparencies in there. I did not matte the inside front cover because it really didn't need it. Transparencies with the bats here. I've got a pocket here, and that's literally the only one of those little transparency pieces I had left. So I just tucked it in there because I don't know what else I would do with it otherwise. This opens up here, and then this pulls out and is just an accordion. So I've got another little transparency there, and you can see my glue dots on that one. The rest of mine, you can't see the little glue dots because I used the Zotz Bling glue dots. So I've had these, I have tons of Zotz, like it's out of control. And I always forget I have them until I go to do something like that. And I'm like, oh, how am I going to attach this? And then I remember. So there we go. So yeah, just a little accordion flip out there. You can tell like on some of these that they're distressed, but it's very obvious in person. Like that one you can tell. Like that one came out about perfect. But again, it is hard to see on camera. The ribbon that I used here was also from the actual store in West Haven. I'm not sure if this one is on the website or not. Hopefully it is, because it is fabulous. It kind of changes color in the light depending on how it hits it. It looks like purple and then red, which actually the nail polish I just had taken off this week was very similar. So there you go. All right, so then this just ties up, of course, and will sit beautifully in there. And then once my cauldron dries, probably sometime tomorrow, I can put the lid on it, and there you go. There is the completed project. As always, thank you for watching the tutorial for this, which is very short because I don't go into, I do the construction and a little bit on how I was actually distressing the papers plays next, but it's super simple. You could do this, of course. Anytime I do something that inserts in something else, I always try to do it so it can be a standalone. Oh, you can see from the side there. See, there you can see my distressing that I worked so hard on, and then you can't tell on camera. You know, I always do these where this can be a standalone project, and quite honestly, by itself, with the exception of the distressing of the matting, the pattern papers to mat, the base of this goes together in about 15 minutes. So super, super easy. So tutorial starts now. Okay, so we are going to start with a piece of lightweight chipboard, 7 1/4 by 11 1/2. We are going to score this at 5 1/4. And you're going to want to go over that a couple of times. And then you're going to go every 1/8 of an inch or so. Okay, so every 1/8 of an inch over to 6 1/4. Okay, so that's what you're going to have. We're going to go ahead and bend. So we're going to bend it fully over on the 5 1/4 and the 6 1/4. And then those inner ones, you're just going to kind of roll them, okay? So kind of like so. Okay? And then I'm going to grab my big corner rounder. And I'm going to go ahead and round my corners. Okay, so there's our base. You can cover it with chipboard. What I think I'm actually going to do is paint this, so I'm going to grab stuff for that. I'll be right back. Okay, so just plain old black craft paint, dollar store parchment paper, which I keep on hand for this kind of thing, and for when I do toner foiling, because I can run this through the laminator and it works great. And since this is going to end up getting matted and whatnot anyway with some pattern paper, you know, and it's going to be kind of grungy anyway, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to get my edges. Lay this out flat. Apologize if you can hear the kids in the background. They are wound up. And only one of them is mine. This, you don't want to get, of course, too heavy-handed because, I mean, it is chipboard. But as you can see, it does also dry fairly quickly, so you won't have like a whole lot of time waiting on this to dry. And again, if you wanted to just like paint the edges, you could do that too, because again, there will be pattern paper and things on this, so it's really not going to make a huge difference. That is, if it's not perfect. And of course, it's almost 5 o'clock, so Cat thinks it's dinner time, even though he is wrong. Okay. All right. So, figure out what I missed. Okay, so I'm going to just set this aside to dry, just like that. And I'm going to grab cardstock for our next piece. Okay, so first off, you're going to cut 6 pages that are 5 1/4 by, I'm sorry, 7 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, 7 1/4 by 5 1/2. With the 5 1/2 at the top of the scoreboard, you're going to score each of these at 1/2 inch. Okay, I have already done that on mine. Then you are going to cut a piece that is 6 1/4 by 5. So this will be one of your scraps from cutting these. Okay, so you're going to start with the 6 1/4 at the top. We're going to score 1/2 inch. Turn. 1/2 inch again. Turn. 1/2 inch. And then I've got a piece that is 5 by 5 1/4, so it's the 5 at the top of the scoreboard. Wait. Yes, sorry. We're going to score it 1/2 inch. Okay. So first step, we're going to take all of our little pages here, and we are going to fold and burnish. These are going to go together as an accordion, okay? So, we're going to go like this. Sorry, it's been a while. Okay. You could miter these, but I'm not going to on this because, again, we're kind of, you know, going to be a little bit messier with this. There we go. Okay, so that piece is put together. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and round my corners. All right, so that's folded the wrong direction. That's an easy fix. Is ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to set that one aside. I am going to miter. Ammon and Corbin, your mom wants you to come home. We're going to miter our corners. We're going to miter the top. And then we are going to cut through those bottom corners where the score lines cross. Okay. I am going to round the corners on my flap. I'm going to fold in and burnish. Okay. And I'm missing a piece. What am I missing? Oh, I need to cut one more piece. I'll be right back. No, I was missing something. So this is 6 by 7 1/4 with the 6 inch at the top of the scoreboard. We're going to score this at 1/2 inch. I feel like I've got something on there that doesn't want to pull. And then 3/4. Okay. I'm going to miter my corners. I am going to find my corner rounder. And I'm going to fold the second score line. Okay. I'm going to round the outside and the inside. Actually, no, I'm not. Now we're going to leave that inside corner like it is. We are going to fold and burnish our flap. And we are going to round this top corner. And then this will go down on here. Okay. For our pocket, we're going to round this bottom corner, like so. Okay. So I'm trying to remember. I don't believe I've done it on a flap like this where I've rounded that opposite corner. And I'm really trying to remember if I did do that on something else. I kind of want to say I did, but I don't remember if I did it and actually used it or if it was a test and it didn't work the way I wanted it to. So go ahead and glue the pocket in. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to grab my hopefully dry. And really even putting that paint on there kind of makes this even a little more pliable, almost leather-like, honestly. Okay. So this is going to go in on this side. I knew I was doing this right. Okay. This is going to go right up to the middle. It will go top to bottom. Okay. And then this one, that's what I was trying to remember. Okay, I do need to round on there. That's what I couldn't remember. I had this worked out in my head and I just hadn't had time until today to get in here and do this. Okay, so this one will go on the opposite side here. And that pocket will close down over the top of it. So, and I should have added ribbon underneath that before I put that down. Okay, we're going to pop that off and I'm going to find my ribbon. Okay. Except it was supposed to be on that side too, so maybe we won't do ribbon on this part. Just kidding. We're going to glue this back in. Oh my lord. It's because I've had to fight with this base and tried like 3 or 4 different things that did not work the way I wanted them to. And this was kind of like my last attempt before I moved on and did something totally different. So, all right. So once this is matted, honestly, this will probably sit fine. And I will probably just put either a little magnet or something on this. I haven't decided yet. All right, so there's the first part of our book. So let me get everything else together and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've started matting the inside here, and what I'm doing is distressing my different pieces before I put them on there. So I've got a little Cricut distressing tool that I used for the first one, and I mean, it works okay. I know there was one that Tonic released a number of years ago that was somewhat similar, that's just kind of got a blade in there that you just rub it along the edge of the paper, and that works okay too. However, scissors work much better, so much easier, so I could really get in there and get those edges the way I wanted them to. So I'm just kind of going around there. And then once I get that, I'm going to go ahead and ink my edges. But first, I'm going to crunch this up. So literally, I am just smashing this paper, which I gotta say, the Country Craft Creations paper is so nice. Is so heavy and so well made. Like, it takes a lot of effort to crunch that up. So then I'm just kind of going with the edge of my scissors over some of the places where I've kind of smashed that up just to distress it a little bit more. And then I've got a little scraper tool there that once I've got that done, I'm just kind of flattening back out just to make it easier to glue into my book. And then I'm coming in with some ink. I've just got Black Soot Distress Oxide ink, just because that it's not like black. It's more of a really dark gray, and just kind of, where I'm trying to make this look just a little old and kind of a little bit beat up, I guess. That works really, really well for that. So then I'm just kind of going over where I kind of scraped the paper, in the center sections, again, just to give it kind of that look. And I know it doesn't do it justice on camera. In person, honestly, it looks really, really good. It's just one of those things. It's kind of hard to get it on camera and have it show up the way I would want it to. So just being very generous with the glue, much more generous than I would be normally. And I'm actually going to open that up and flip that down just to make it easier to put that on there. If you knew what you were going to mat with before, like when you were assembling, you could mat these before you actually put some of them together. Like you could assemble the accordion piece and then, mat it and then put it in your book. That's entirely up to you. But that is, pretty much it. I'm just going to hit it with a little bit more ink once it was in there just to kind of make sure I got everywhere. And that's how I am distressing that. And I've got a couple places where it kind of bubbled up on my edges, which really for it looking, trying to make it look older is fine, but it kind of bugs me. So there you go. I'm just going to keep doing that in the rest of the book. Okay, so at this point, I have got everything matted. Okay, I know in the tutorial I had like 6 pages here on this little accordion. I ended up pulling 2 of those out just because I decided I really didn't want that many of them back there, and that gave it a little bit more room. I've attached my ribbon front and back. I have attached my paper on the inside, and then I've got my signatures, which I started out with a 4x6 and a 5x7 and decided the 5x7 really was too big. So I'm actually going to end up cutting that down off camera in just a second. Okay, so I cut my other little signature down so that they're both 4x6. And what I'm going to do now is get my elastic in there for where these are going to sit inside the front cover. So I'm going to line up and just make a mark approximately where the covers on those 2 signatures kind of dip in, because I did round them. And then I'm going to make a second mark 1/2 inch in from the first mark. So I'm just kind of using the ruler just to get it mostly so that it's even. But I'm just going, like I said, 1/2 inch apart on those. And then I'm going to take my Crop-A-Dile on the smaller of the 2 holes, because, if you look at it, there's like a big hole and a small hole. I'm going to use the smaller of the 2, and I'm going to look through that to line that up and punch out my holes. Kind of shake that out there and get the other one. And again. Well, maybe if I get a better grip on it, how about that? Okay. And try and get that little piece out of there. And then just go ahead and punch the second hole. Now, what I'm going to do next, so you can see I did mat my inside piece. I've got just the black elastic cord, and literally I buy this in Michael's in the kids craft section because it's super cheap. You get a whole bunch, and it comes in a bunch of different colors. So that's what I've got there, and it's got kind of a icky end on that there. So I'm going to actually end up cutting the end of that off just to make it a little bit easier to thread through. but because there's only 2 signatures, I know everybody that does these, like the junk journals and stuff with this kind of insert and the elastic and whatnot, does it a little bit differently. Because I intend on matting over that elastic on that other side, I'm just going straight across from one hole to the next. And I apologize, I didn't realize I had gotten that far off camera when I was doing this. I'm cutting my other end off there and feeding that through. I apologize. I was on like an online class while I was doing this, so I did not notice. All I'm doing off camera there is I'm just knotting the ends on my elastic there, and then I'll just kind of trim those down. And I'll slide it over here in just a minute where you can see a little bit better, so I apologize. I'm just getting that kind of tight. It's a little bit tricky to kind of tie that where you don't want it to be like too loose. I'm just cutting my ends off, so I've just got a little tiny piece left. And then I can take my signatures with my tea-dyed paper that I bought on Etsy because I am terrified to try it myself. And I can just slide those in there, and that's all good. I will end up matting, of course, the fronts of those 2 little signatures. I'm going to tie this closed and then go ahead and do my matting on the front. And I'll show you one more time how I was distressing this. So my edges are distressed on this. I just need to, and I decided partway through it was easier to ink the edges before I crumpled the whole thing up. It just seemed to go a little better. In fact, I think on my little pieces I ended up like laying them down and ink blending over the top of them because that worked even better. So there we go. And we're going to crunch and crunch and crunch and literally like try this with the Country Craft Creations paper. It is not easy to crunch this stuff up into a ball. I just gotta say. But it does it beautifully. It doesn't destroy it. You can get it. I mean, you know, honestly, I could have sprayed that down with water and crunched it up and really gotten it super grungy, but that has never been my thing. I really struggle with doing like grunge and, you know, like really distressed stuff. So, I mean, this was like completely out of my comfort zone, I gotta say, but I love how it ended up coming out. All right, so then I'm going over that again just to kind of smooth it out, just to make it easier to glue down. And so again, I'm coming in here once I get the lid off the glue, that is, and just coming around, getting really good on the edges, and then a fair amount through the middle, just because it's, you know, it's not flat. It's going to be a little bit different to kind of glue this down than it would, you know, most normal pattern paper. Okay, so kind of lining it up. Again, it's old. It's not going to, you know, or it's supposed to look old. It's not that it is old. It's supposed to look old, so it's not going to be exactly perfect. So I'm just kind of going over that with that scraper again, just to get my edges good and stuck down, because I don't want them lifting up, of course, which again, it's supposed to be kind of, you know, distressed, so it really doesn't matter. And for whatever reason, the bottom did not want to glue on this one. Get that wiped off. And then after I've done that, then I'll come back in and go over all of those little distressed pieces in the center with the ink, which, you know, you could skip that part, honestly, but I just liked how it looked. So there we go. There is our book. I am not going to do anything on the spine. I'm just going to decorate the front, and then do some little decorations on the inside, and of course mat the fronts of my little signatures there. And then do a little bit of decorating, and that's about it. So as always, thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys following along, and if you end up making this, please share it on Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations and on Scrapping Under the Influence and Scrap Happy Peeps. Bye!